is going to be on mice. For this, the moderator, ladies and gentlemen, will be Mr. Nitin Sachdeva, President of VIIth India. May I request Mr. Nitin to please join us on the dais? एक बार तालियां जोरदार अभिनंदन करते हुए, ladies and gentlemen, we can have a louder applause, everyone. Come on. Very warm welcome to Mr. Nitin. Ladies and gentlemen, we also invite the other panelists, Mr. Vikas Arora, CEO of Wishing Tree, welcoming Mr. Vikas Arora with a big round of applause, everyone. Welcoming Mr. P.P. Khanna, President of Association of Domestic Tour Operators, a big round of applause for Mr. Khanna. Mr. Ashwini Nayar, GM, Hotel Crowne Plaza, Greater Noida, a huge round of applause for Mr. Ashwini. Mr. Vishal Kapoor, General Manager, Hotel Radisson from Dwarka. A big round of applause for Mr. Vishal Kapoor. A very warm welcome to you. The illustrious panel is here on stage, and before they begin, all of us need some energy. Come on everybody, please put your hands together for the wonderful panel that we have here on the dais. And this session, I'm sure, is going to be very interesting and interactive. Requesting everyone to please take your seats, and over to the moderator for taking it forward.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon everybody. How's everybody doing? Is everybody sleepy? I can't see you guys. Can you just come in here? We can't see you. Come here. Come on the front rows. Come on. Let's get this side filled up. You can sit wherever you want to be. Guys, how's everybody doing this afternoon? How's the food? The organizer just gave me a job to moderate this, but I need to also ask you, how's the food? You need to pay the bill. If everything is good, yeah? Raise of hands. How many people had food? Good. Awesome. That's great. I mean, we have a lot of light coming on there. That's why I was not able to see the audience, and I requested them to come here. Anyways, well, thank you so much, everybody joining us. My name is Nitin. I'm representing here VIIth India, and of course, moderating this panel for MICE. Since we have great panelists here, representing hotels, GMs, we have event planners. And of course, we have, the president of the Domestic Tour Operator Association. So we're going to take some questions on what he's been doing with the government sector. We are very interested to know about that. Well, my first question actually is to the hoteliers, Rajesh and Ashwini, both of you. It's been 18 long months that we have all been being very resilient in the MICE segment, and still the MICE.
I think, good afternoon everybody. With the nihari and the lovely meal that we've had, everybody is slightly slow. But excellent food, and thank you for the hospitality of the team here. A very pertinent question. In fact, you've asked a question which has got 3-4 parts of it. I'll try and do justice to that. First and foremost, you asked about 18 months. I don't think we would like to see those 18 months again. They've been really, really gruesome for hoteliers. But I say hoteliers, and I'm sure my colleagues sitting here from the travel trade will also agree that we are like the second army of this country. Hoteliers are stood tall. Brands don't matter. I think we are a big family of hoteliers and hospitality professionals. We as a brand, we have not only done a recovery of our business by giving confidence to the people, but we also have gone out and done a lot of CSR activities. I don't want to go on that part. But as a brand, I think we've got about 100+ hotels in the country. And I had one of the largest properties, which is the largest in terms of inventory in the country in India. Brand positioning, we all were one hoteliers. There was no RHG, IHG or Hyatt or a leader, because these are very tough times and we across have helped each other out. As far as the business is concerned, I think MICE per se, it's taken a serious step. Even with whatever restrictions were there, we had 20 people to cater to. We had 50 people, 100. But while I sit here with you, I'm very happy that we are seeing the green shoots of recovery. I've got a very important, I'm not named because competition is right next to me.
You're one big family.
But we have a conference going on. They are doing it online as well as on-site. So there are people in US, people sitting in India, and they have taken different rooms, and it's going on.
That's like a bit of a hybrid setup.
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid setup right now. What we survived on after the lockdowns and all has not been MICE at all, because MICE was not doing it.
Of course.
It was mostly the social segment. So I'll answer the 3 questions.
Sure. No, actually, I wanted to answer correctly. I wanted to set the base for the session, and then I will ask you what's going to be there for MICE, because now it's going to be opening up for sure.
Thank you. So I'll pass it on to
Ashwini.
my colleague Ashwini, probably will add on to it. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. I always say that the post-lunch session, so Nitin, congratulations to you, because the post-lunch session is always the most difficult in getting people to wake up again and get involved in the deliberations.
It's easier than the 18 months that we have.
But no, I can't agree with Vishal more. I think he's kind of covered that past 18 months very well. Obviously, none of us want to see those return, but dark clouds still haven't completely gone away, so we don't know what the future is going to hold. The fact is, it's about how prepared we can be for the future. I think that's the next 18 months is going to be very critical in my perspective. A lot of us have seen wars and terrorist attacks, and we've seen dips in the business in our careers, but I don't think there's anyone in this room who's seen anything like this ever, and that's too repeated twice over, and took us by surprise the second time worse than the first time. So I guess my take on this is it's that the first team that makes the first impact to the customer, to the MICE customer, is the team that generates the sale. And the S for sales, if we can convert that into safety and bring that confidence back into the customer that we are safe as hotels or as venues and destinations, I think that's going to be very, very pertinent to the next 18 months.
Thank you so much, Chris. Well, my question is to you for the event planner side. How have you survived the last 18 months? Because your primary business was corporate, and now you're doing weddings. I don't want to put any wedding questions because I love my guys who are doing wedding segment next. So I really want to focus on the corporate side of business. How did you cope up with the change where the corporate policies came into picture and they didn't want to do anything? Did they do virtual stuff? Did they move not doing anything? What was your experience?
First of all, good afternoon everyone. I think we have a lot of fellow travel agents as part of this forum. I think it's been a tough time for all of us. I think the hospitality business, events business, even the travel business, no inbound coming in. I think even the domestic traffic has also, off lately it has mushroomed well because we have a lot of staycations and other things happening. But on the corporate side, it was completely dead slot. There was nothing which was happening in the corporate side of life. Whilst we thrived on the social side, and I saw a lot of travel agents who are also our partners come to us, and we did some joint events together in terms of the social side of life. A lot of travel agents moved in. A lot of people were also looking at things like destinations for small weddings. So I think the concept of the weddings also changed post-COVID, I think. So a lot of people switched to smaller gatherings. And with smaller gatherings coming in, even the people who could not afford hotels could afford hotels. So I think there was, with the corporate getting closed, I think luckily for all hoteliers, for all event managers, I think the social side did well.
I agree with you, but after the first real wave, when we started to open up, in my personal experience, I saw a lot of corporates doing a lot of Goa and domestic stuff, right, in smaller chunks and portions, right? Did you encounter any of those, and were you able to encash on that?
Yes, so a couple of corporates also asked for, so some of our fellow partners who are in the travel trade also asked for hotels and locations. So they would do a staycation kind of a thing. They would hold the entire office out of that place, so everyone checked into the hotel in a resorty location, and they would do work from there. So we were also employed because of this, that they were, besides the staycation, they also wanted some entertainment.
Exactly, this is a new segment.
They also wanted some kind of themes to be built up. They also wanted some kind of entertainment to happen. So I think luckily, thanks to the COVID, I would say, a lot of people blame the COVID, but COVID has also influenced a lot of people to travel out. So a lot of people have, I think, tired sitting at home.
No, I think that's one point. I think COVID has also been a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways. Because we could actually learn from the MICE perspective as well, how can we actually use virtual as well. I know that virtual is enemy for a lot of people, but it can be used complementing the physical space and the hybrid segment. I will come on the hybrid segment, what is your thought on that? But before I get on to that, I will get on to Mr. Khanna on the association view, because I think everybody in this period has come on to getting a lot of expectation from associations. So from your perspective, sir, what has been your experience working with the government and I don't know whether you have asked about the MICE segment on the domestic front, but if you have, please give us details on that.
Thank you, Nitin. And first of all, let me congratulate ICM Group, Mr. Ajay Gupta, particularly in his team, for this bold decision to organize this MICE.
Round of applause for that.
Yeah. So today we are here to celebrate the MICE event here, and it's really a very good event which really encourage all of us, because all we tour operators and the hoteliers have kind of a encouragement to all of us that how we can really arrange the MICE segment, which is very important in our life. If you really take the data of the 2019-20, the MICE segment was almost about in India was 45,000 crores in India. But taking into consideration the data, it is only 1% globally if you really consider about that. And as regard you said, what government is doing, yes, government has a lot of expectations from the MICE, and they're looking forward for at least 2.5% to increase. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it did not happen. Now, after this pandemic, we are very sure that government is taking a lot of steps to, increase the MICE in India. As everybody knows here, because we all are from the fraternity and we know that fairground like the Prakti Maidan and a lot of other venues, big venues are coming here, and which is exactly a very, good news for all of us. That earlier we used to say that if we have a MICE of, suppose any gathering of 1,000 members or 1,200 members, we could not arrange that. Like we saw in the MP Tourism presentation also, they have wonderful, another Khajuraho Convention Center which can accommodate almost 200 people. So government is looking after that, and after that, how to do that. And today, if we talk about the associations and particularly represent the domestic tour operators of India, today domestic tourism is the only way forward and is the only savior for the tourism industry here. Let me tell you, and particularly if you really see till inbound and outbound doesn't come and doesn't exist, till domestic tourism will really survive, and this is who will really revive and thrive all of us. So taking into consideration the MICE segment particularly, I think we have to, and we have hoteliers here, those who are doing wonderful job, particularly if I'm talking about Ashwini here, who has done a lot of activities of the MICE in their hotel. And I'm thankful to you, Ashwini, for you taking a lot of initiatives. Your people are taking it in Crowne Plaza, and that exactly is the requirement of the day. And today, we have to look into that how we can really promote the MICE segment in India, which has a lot of employment generation as well as the revenue generation for the economic growth of India. So that exactly I want.
I think, yeah, MICE and specifically from the government perspective, when we see it, the government is developing infrastructure. which is coming in every state. In fact, the smart city policy has a convention center in each smart city that is going to be completed. I don't know when, but yeah, that's a plan, right, on paper at least. But we see a lot of plans on paper coming to life, like with Jaipur Convention Center, with the Geo Convention Center in Bombay, with a lot of large hotels like, IIG and Radisson having convention facilities. And in fact, IICC coming up, Pragati Vidan under the ropes right now. We have the Noida Convention Center. We have so many of these convention centers coming up, which is great from the point of view of infrastructure development. But what about policy making? Because ultimately you can't just develop infrastructure and expect the private sector to actually do magics on that, right? So when the travel agent community is sitting here, we need to make things easier for them to operate in. Easier in terms of communication and in terms of connectivity. So what is your thought on the government side? I'm sure you spoke to a lot of government side. What are they thinking? How do they want to accelerate this on the policy and framework perspective?
See, policy is very, very important once we are attached with the government.
Yeah.
And according to the national tourism policy, they have a lot of expectations from the MICE segment. And we have seen that now the government is working very hard on that. Provided, if we really want to, increase this segment, my segment, the first thing which we have to look into that, the costing factor. Cost factor is very, very important. And they are looking into that because, if you really see today our neighboring countries, like if we say small countries like Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, they are incentivizing to the MICE segment.
They are running away with all of this.
Yeah, correct. But unfortunately, it is not happening in India. So what government is now thinking about that why not to incentivize, and they have already done some programs on that to incentivize the program on the MICE segment. Once the government is agreed on that, and under the national tourism policy, if they agree that the national tourism policy, it should be, implemented with the incentivized, with the subsidies, with the something which for the associations, if association is giving any kind of a business to any hotels or to any venues, so they should be giving some kind of a incentivize, and they are looking into that. What exactly we have learned from them, what we have got the knowledge from them.
And that's for the domestic side of business?
For the domestic side, exactly. And they are also looking into inbound also, but domestic is very, very important. Today, I mean, everybody knows that today, during this, if we are talking about the weddings, during the wedding season, every day in Delhi, if I am talking about Delhi NCR, 25,000 to 30,000 marriages happening in Delhi only. And there is a totally jam in Delhi. So, this is a large segment of, the huge segment of MICE and weddings in India. Unfortunately, वो कहते हैं धक्काशाही है. But जिसको जो मिल गया.
Yeah, so I mean, people who are working on segments that are available to them, but now I want to really touch base on the pain areas of my fellow travel agencies. We have seen in the leisure segment, when things open up, a lot of direct bookings happen in hotels, and they were given a lot of good pricing, and the travel agents were not supported, to be honest. So I want to really, on behalf of all the community here, ask both the hoteliers, what is your strategy on MICE, and are you able to support the travel industry who has actually been supporting you for so many years? Anyone can take that one first. Yeah.
If I have the permission, before answering this question, I just wanted to add on to what Mr. Khanna said.
Yes, please.
Fantastic statistics in terms of 45,000 crores and MICE segment. When I say MICE, if I say MIC, so it's about almost 38,000 crores. Events is another 7,000 crores. What's mentioned here, very interesting that we don't feature in smaller countries. So I've been in the industry for almost 30 years. And there are a lot of general manager hoteliers out here who's also been speaking on various forums, and even our seniors. We don't speak about a ranking. We are almost, I think, if you Google search something around 37th or 38th in terms of ranking for MICE destination by so.
That's the ECA ranking.
So what my take here is, and what I would urge, that let's also emphasize on those issues as to why is it that our country is not moving forward. Just adding on to what Mr. Khanna said.
Right. I just want to, buddy up that point. I work very closely with Thailand, everybody knows here, and I know, what these countries are up to, and if we don't do the policy and framework better in terms of not just infrastructure, but tying it into certifying our people into an international service-oriented, I would say, team, and really making policies and framework which are simpler to understand and not just few people to access, we are going to be losing big time. You know, because as Mr. Khanna mentioned, that these small countries they're doing great stuff. You know, look at China. You know, I know that we can't compare ourselves to China, but I think China has taken the cake away from us any which ways. You know, they have the highest number of non-American certified exhibition managers in China. You know, the International Association of Events and Exhibition, their second biggest largest market is China after the US. So can you just imagine every association globally has had their best customers in China,
sure,
and it's not been implemented in India.
I could speak at length on that, but the topic is not that. And, you know, you would also, I'd just like to tell you,
Yeah.
China is again one country which is getting the maximum number of English teachers
Sure.
from India. So
Sure.
they're also getting their people to speak English.
Yeah, they're just taking advantage of whatever best that we have.
So when I mentioned the 37th rank, I actually know the reasons why.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that as a body, not only hoteliers, the association of the people, we all need to get together and think that why are we on this ranking?
Correct.
How is it that collectively, what we can do as hoteliers,
Sure.
what the travel agents can do, and what the government can do. So there are different bodies involved.
Sure.
And they all have to come together. It's not one person, one organization stick.
Correct.
Going on to the second part, your main question. While I was coming for this event, I was actually stopped by a gentleman in the lobby who was wanting to meet me. So I walked up to him and he says, are you the general manager? I said, yes. I've been trying to reach you. I said, I was just coming down to meet you because I was coming for this event. So he says, why is it that I'm got a higher rate than what we're giving to a travel agent? I give it to a travel agent. So it was
a separate thing.
It was a
yeah, the
different
customer's complaining you differently.
in a different way, right? So it depends. But as far as the support is concerned, travel agents, it depends from destination to destination, hotel to hotel. I was at the Radisson Palace Udaipur before coming here. There were similar stories.
Right.
We sorted things out.
Right.
So we all know, and if any hotelier says he doesn't know, he's lying.
Exactly.
It's only in those peak dates that hoteliers, sometimes they bump off groups, that's what happens. But you don't honor your commitments, which I feel personally is wrong. And you need to have parity in that. So I completely support that cause that you can't have short-term relationships, these have to be long-term relations.
Ashwini, what's your point?
Ashwini, can I know that?
Yeah, because you've been supported by partners a lot. You know, what is your take on when partners were not supported on the leisure business? You know, I'm just taking a cue from there because ultimately, you know, the segment will open. You know, today or tomorrow, I don't know, but it will open, and it will be opening with a bang. You know, that I guess we all collectively cannot manage that business because as I think some of you mentioned that, you know, people are wanting to get out. Even the corporates, I speak to them personally, I speak to a lot of PCOs and stuff, they say that the corporates are ready with money, but they just want confidence. I will talk about confidence in the next segment, but what's your point on supporting travel agencies who have been your partner in crime and getting your business pumped up for so long, and now some of the hoteliers are just dumping them and going directly to the customer?
Well, I don't, I'm sorry, I wouldn't really agree to that point about dumping partners. And
you can disagree, for sure. I love that.
Customers.
I'm speaking from behalf of the travel agent community here. They have been dumped. They say that. Yeah.
I don't really think that's a fact. The ones that we want to dump are probably the ones that you know, the one that his customer must have booked through online without taking any.
That's a rare case.
But apart from them, I think when we talk about partnership, we talk about doing work together. The fact that we as hoteliers or service providers to your business, which is the business of your customer, is the fact that we consider you or we work with you as an extended arm of our own sales force, right? So anybody who would think about dumping their own sales force might as well just shut shop and don't wait for COVID and close down their business before COVID happens. So I don't think that question arises, or
that question arised, you know, that's why I asked it. because she wants to ask questions, but just give me 1 second. Let me complete my point, and then I'll throw the mic to you. Yes, please tell me the question. Yeah. So I think this is a genuine question that I'm asking because I've been amongst the travel agents and talking to them, knowing their pain points, and I heard this and I wanted to ask you that.
Fair enough. Yeah. So whilst the question is on the table, so I am going to take a point to this. That and I think Vikas touched on it very well. It's always a balance that needs to be created, and he spoke about certain dates or certain periods where pricing may go up or down, and we call that revenue management. Something that we as hoteliers, and especially those of us who've been around for a few decades, know that we learned this business from the airlines.
Sure.
What exactly, Sangeeta? What Sir said, that it should be long term, not short term. But how the long term we reach unless until we don't start from the short term?
Listen, I think this is
so
a real
it
problem.
starts from here and it reaches here. So somewhere, somehow, you have to make your partners happy. Only then you can really work the business with your partners. But you said that tour operators have partners. Partners only when you really start from somewhere, somehow you understand. So that's exactly professionalism is called.
Before I pass this on to Vikas, I'm going to re-stress, Vishal, sorry. Vishal, I'm going to just re-stress on this point that I have 7 people working with me on my sales team, and I have a couple of thousand partners. So, the answer is obvious. Am I going to work with 7 people, or I'd rather work
So we just want a reassurance from you guys that you're going to support the travel agent community no matter what. You'd have to think about it.
The 2 general managers should not be in the firing line for all the thousands of them outside. but
No, it's a talk.
yes. So
Yeah.
I have friends and senior colleagues. I was just meeting, after lunch, who have done fantastic events, and we've been associated with years now, not 1 or 5, but only number of years. And what I can tell you on behalf of my group as RHs, that what we discuss here, we also have our forums where we, once a week, amongst the corporate, amongst the cluster general managers, and also with our regional director sales and things like that. So we are going to talk, at least I'm going to talk about this to them and give this feedback too. Let me tell you, even when we were getting back into business, we have reached out to people. We have reached out to travel agents who have not been doing travel agent business. I will not name them, it's absolutely incorrect. But we have helped them in whatever business they have. They have reached out for events, smaller weddings, or whatever kind of business. Because we feel it is our moral responsibility to help each other out. Okay, these are very, very tough times. We laid off people in hundreds and thousands in hotels and airlines and across, right? And people are shut short. But let me assure you that me as a concern, as a professional, as my hotel, we are reaching out ourselves to every single person, and people sitting here in this forum too. So it is our commitment that we will not a short term, as assuring Khanna also, that it is a long term. Any hotelier or any, I would say, professional who thinks that मेरा आज काम निकल जाए कल को देख लेंगे, it's very short sighted. Because I'll tell you why. Because it's a norm of the industry. People do not remember your good deeds always. They but remember कि इसने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया. I'm telling you, that's the way it is. So we can't keep everybody happy, but there should be, I think, parity in business. Things should be fair.
I agree with your point. I think that's well taken, and I think what both of these guys have mentioned, I think it's a public commitment of actually honoring the partnership, which is great. Thank you so much. I wanted to have that from you. From your perspective on the event planner side, the hoteliers complained a lot that you guys ditched them at the last moment for just 500 rupees. Can you just tell me how do we take that, with a pinch of salt? So complaint to the travel agent community as well from the hotelier side is that, we do a lot of costing, we do a lot of phone calls, we do a lot of site inspections, and then for 200 bucks, business is gone. So where is the relationship?
So I think what is to be blamed here is not us or hotels or anybody. I think the customer psyche post-COVID.
The customer is not here, I'm asking you. Because, you know, if the customer was here, I will ask the question to the customer, but since you are here as a planner.
But we need to be realistic. What is happening in today's world? I think customer has also become very value conscious. Of lately, even we trade with a lot of luxury customers. But we've seen a complete change in the customer psyche also. They are talking of pennies. Earlier they used to say that we would want the best experience. It doesn't matter what money it is. Today everyone is saying, because we are looking at value.
No, but because I'm telling you, this is a great point. But I'm coming from a perspective of negotiation. Like for example, I'm a planner. I'm calling Ashwini saying that, oh, you know what? I have this business of 100 people. You give me a price. He gives me a price of 8,000 bucks. I go to Vishal and say, hey, listen, man, I'm wanting 6,000 bucks for my entry. You know, how do you honestly justify that behavior of negotiation when two partners actually are talking to each other? What happens in that scenario from a travel agent perspective?
No, I think
you lose face, because ultimately the hoteliers are talking the same way that you guys are talking. Do you agree, guys? Right? So I think there has to be transparency and partnership from both ends. I think that is only going to be better, and this is the whole objective of this conversation. That I think
so. We face this quite often because we also represent the wedding side. So a lot of times when we go with the social group, and the guy would say, look, we are getting a better rate online. Look, we get a better rate from a travel agent. So we face this often.
See, this is very normal. I think we negotiate the same way that the customer would negotiate, right? But I think, I believe that this is where our competition is running away from all the business that from us, from overseas. Because we are fighting this little battle. We can just be transparent to the hotel, listen, this is your online rate. And we should do that calculation first before the client does, right? Do you agree?
Yes.
So I think we always say that the client is very smart today, right? But this is wrong to say because I think we should be smarter than the client, right? We are in the business. So guys, I think we need to invest and encourage partnership and education. I think more than anything else, right?
I think technology is going to be a significant
Of course.
Change as far as the new COVID norms are concerned. I think technology is going to play a huge role. I think still, if I like to say, there are a lot of hotels which go empty on a particular day. So if a technology can be developed that where we understand that there are inventory. Besides the room, if you look at the banquets, if you look at the event side of life, so there are a lot of times that no event is happening in the hotel. But whereas there are the corporates which are searching for businesses. So I think some use of technology is also going to play a very important role in coming time.
I think, Vikas, you have touched upon a great point of technology. And I think technology is not just travel technology, it's events technology, it's connectivity in technology. So I think technology is definitely going to be like a big part of change that has happened already during the last 18 months. I think we have all got, Zooms and whatnot on our mobile phone that we are connected with technology, right? And we can do AR, VR, all those things, the 360 tours, everything is there for sure. But again, my point is that encouraging partnership between both the parties to really make things happen, because the client, if he sees any scope of negotiation because your partnership is not decided, you guys are going to be in trouble.
So I think the right way is to work very transparent.
Correct.
So if you're working very transparently with your partners, your fellow hoteliers, so I have always believed, I come from a corporate background myself. So coming from the corporate background, I understand that what is the psyche which goes behind the corporate. Heading a few large corporates, and coming to the other side of that, I understand when we are talking to the hoteliers. So the best part about our company, how we would like to move, is that we take the person directly. We would like to work very transparently.
I think that's a great strategy. If you take the customer directly to the hotel understands that this is your customer believing you, and there's a sense of relationship and confidence that's there, right? So, thank you so much, Vikas, for that. Mr. Khanna, coming on to complaining to you as well. I have a lot of complaints, but these complaints are from our industry people, specifically when the MICE segment is going to start, because we have seen in the past that being cutthroat competition, the corporate is being touched by the global sales offices of hotels, and the agencies are getting to know from the corporate side that, oh, you know what, we got a better rate than you. What is your take on that? How do you deal with it?
See, it is only like that. I will say that what Vishalji said, very right, I totally agree with him. But you have to understand, the hoteliers little bit have to understand the professionalism which I said. If you are directly interacting with the client, the hotel and the client, and if you are interacting or doing some business with a professional person like a tour operator or the travel agent, because there is a bridge, and you people, hoteliers are the principals, the client has to ride on it, and we are the exactly the people,
implementers of the business
to implement all these things. Once, if they understand, the hotels, if they understand that exactly I am really dealing with a professional. If you are working with a professional, so whatever is the up and downs, whatever it is, he knows how to handle that. Maybe the corporate or maybe the direct client, he doesn't understand. But the last minute what happens, that he says, आपने तो कहा था मैं इतने आपको इतने जो है मेन्यू में इतने डिश दूंगा, लेकिन आपने वहाँ पे उनको 10 की जगह 8 दे दिए, 7 दे दिए, लेकिन एज ए प्रोफेशनल जो है उसको पता है कि 10 है तो 10 ही होने चाहिए, और वो आपके साथ जो काम करेगा, he will really talk like a professional person, and he will. So corporate has to be to understand exactly if he is talking with that, or he is going through the bridge in between. Definitely he is going to have a better service than what exactly is directly client getting from the hotel. So it is like that, we are also like a consultant, or like if you consider it as like we are like a doctor in the tourism. Now why people go to the doctors? If they have some headache or some other disease in there, headache हुआ तो anything तो कोई भी खा सकता है, कोई भी कुछ दवाई खा सकता है, लेकिन why do they go to the doctor? That is the only reason they go to the doctor, because they know that he is the person who is professional, and also they should also understand that they are talking to a doctor, a consultant, who knows each and every pros and cons of that exactly has to be done.
So I think that has to be positioned from the planner perspective to the client as well. So if you position yourself as a doctor, I think they will believe that you're a doctor. But what has happened in the past, that our industry grew horizontally, with so many people coming into the industry, they had no clue what tourism was, and they just set up a shop and they played on, right? So I think that also was, so I think that's again, policy and, entry level to the business. So I think that's a separate topic, but I think enough of complaints. I want to have the final segment of this session where I'm going to ask each one of you, what are the changes that you feel that have happened in the last 18 months that the client is now wanting to get the confidence and to feel that they're secure to do an event, just like this. So, yeah, the rapid fire, like you can do rapid fire and then, give one pointer and then we finish the session, all right? So what are the changes, you can start Vishal, what are the changes that you have seen the customers are now looking at with safety? Security is one of the key things. Everybody's looking at hygiene, safety and health security. What are the key changes that have happened in the last 18 months which you feel that are absolutely going to be permanent and there's no running away from it?
It's a very broad question, but let me re-emphasize that we have got an SGS audit, which is international audit, and we are certified. And touch wood, we have not had a single COVID case in that. Not a single case. We did an event, and we're talking about sharing and confidence. I'll just go back just 1 minute. We did recently an event when I've given 120 rooms to IDC, my neighboring hotel, because I was small.
That's great.
And we had 200 rooms ourselves. So when you have that kind of confidence, and let me also tell you, man, the relationship goes a long way. So all the general managers, like he's a seasoned general manager, we don't have one-day relationship. We have been in the industry and we've had long relationships with people. So relationships also go a long way, and you take the word of the general manager. Why? Because the manager is going to stand by it.
Correct.
I stood till 4 o'clock in the morning when I've done an event.
Sure.
And what people are expecting today is no frills.
Right.
They want plain vanilla, but they want safety, they want security, They want prompt service. People know industry is getting back. They don't want that there are 3 guys to look after the event. They still want
Correct.
quality. They don't want to compromise. So it's not like people are compromising in quality. There's still demand. But yes, they're understanding, but they want the basics in place.
Yeah, there is a limit for it, and the people are understanding it, and I think they're being practical.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome, great points. I think quality and practicality has to go hand in hand now. So I think being travel agents, we need to understand the perspective from the hotels as well, that when we are promising something to the customer, I think it has to be in sync with the team. Otherwise, there will always be this mismanagement and not parity and not pricing and stuff. So I think it's important to have that clear communication, and I believe in your points of quality and hygiene. Thank you so much. Ashwini, your points.
So, I don't think I have anything different to say, because these are the basics that every customer is looking for. Quality, hygiene, safety, those are the, I think safety and hygiene are the two words that have really been the absolute game changers. I was just reading this saying that that price remains in your mind for a day, but quality remains forever. So I don't think if the question is what's changing or how things have changed, and we've been talking so much about post-COVID. I don't think there is anything such as a post-COVID.
Yeah.
Nothing really has changed in mindsets and in thought processes. People are still looking for the same things that they did before. A big change happened, if you remember, after 9/11. Security became a buzzword.
Right.
Now safety has become a buzzword. That's probably the only major change factor that's happened. Everything else, at least in my mind, remains pretty much the same.
Perfect. I think health and hygiene and health security, whatever you may put in. Yeah, please, please.
Just add on here, everybody's information. We sanitize, and I'm not joking. We sanitize every single room after check-in. Every single, and it's shut down for a couple of hours, no matter what your occupancy levels are. We sanitize the entire corridors. We sanitize the banquet halls after usage. We sanitize the halls during tea breaks. So that's the extent of hygiene and sanitization that we are doing at the RH.
I think that's a great
We're
point.
very proud about it.
I think that's a great point to be proud of, and I think it's a great point for the agencies as well to understand that when the client is saying why I'm not getting the room at time, or probably why I'm just standing here and the room is not ready, I think that's a great point to know that it's for your safety. Just wait for half an hour, right? I think that's a great point, Vishal. Thanks a lot for that. What's your take on the client change and mindset, man? I mean, with not only from the perspective of the requirements, from a financial perspective.
So I think they touched upon, all important. I think.
What do you face the customer more than what they do?
So,
Firstly.
the customer in today's world has, there's a little sickness about him today, because he's scared but he still wants to do event. If you understand, and if I give you some numbers, I think they would have done the largest weddings in terms of volumes and numbers.
Right.
Even during the COVID times, I think they were fully occupied. I had asked for rooms, I had asked for some wedding dates. They were not available.
I know.
And both of them are epitome of the fact that they worked very hard post-COVID, I think, because the hotels were all short-staffed. And I would say that there was a constant fear among people that what happens if a COVID case comes out, as far as I was concerned. I think, but key takes here, I think, since we have a lot of fellow travel agents here, I think to move this business, India has the population. It doesn't need any inbound traffic. It has so much.
That's like debatable.
Yeah. So we are, I think, in terms of population, soon we want to surpass China.
Sure.
We have the numbers. There is market for every business. I think there is market for every hotel. There is market for every business, every travel agent, every event manager. I don't think so during some times of the wedding season, because the wedding was the flavor of the season this time. The social was the flavor of the season. I don't think so anybody was empty in July.
I think July was very good, right, for everybody.
July. So I think the key takes here again, coming back, I think like ma'am also asked about the transparency. I think most important, the way forward tomorrow with online and technology coming in is that there has to be a complete transparency. There has to be a partnership relationship between hotels, travel, event managers, and we need to also talk to the government forums to see how we can incentivize them in terms of if we are having some large movement, if we are having some convention. So there is togetherness which can make a bring change, which can bring change.
That's a great point, because Mr. Khanna, I'm going to take your last point actually very quickly because we are out of time. So just give your final thoughts on what the customer is asking from you when it comes to you. Just one quick point.
This is safety and hygiene very, very important. And as per my knowledge and as per what exactly we have observed, because we are having a lot of meetings almost every week, because we represent actually the VIIth also, which is the association of 10 associations.
Right.
And a lot of hoteliers and the tour operators and from the MICE segment, everybody is there to share about that, how the people are, and it's very good. I am thankful to, particularly to, the 5-star hotels. They are taking a lot of precautions about that. Like Vishal has also said that they are taking every time they are sanitizing the rooms after the check-in, check-out, everything, but it is happening. But unfortunately, really if you consider the protocols, the SOPs, which has to be for everybody, all the hotels, whether it's HAI or the FHRI or heritage hotels, few of the hotels, if I'm talking about 3 or 4-star hotels, they are not adhering to all these protocols. Frankly speaking, I have seen that, and I have been on Himachal, which was, the day it was happened, I was there also, and I was in a 4-star hotel, and you believe it or not, yes, they told me to wait for half an hour. I waited for that. After that, when I went to my room, it was not sanitized. I had to say, so it is not like that. Yeah, of course, the 5-star hotels and the luxury hotels, they are taking care of that. But unfortunately, in the small hotels, they are not taking care of that because they want the business. It is a revenge not only for the revenge for the tourists, it is the revenge even for the hotels also. But we have to make it more responsible than the revenge. That's the idea.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I think we are short of time. I'm sorry we can't take any questions, but I think the end point is work on quality, work on partnerships. Everybody's going to work together. That's how the MICE segment will move further. Any segment, for that matter, but especially for the MICE segment, where the corporate have the access to these guys. I think it's important to be together and not very transparently. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot for being patient and looking forward to the next session.
Thank you so much. A big round of applause for this wonderful session on MICE, everyone. Let us cheer up the panel. We request everyone to kindly stay back for a few more seconds as we present mementos to our wonderful speakers. Requesting Mr. Ajay Gupta ji to kindly please join us back on the dais. Chairman and Managing Director of ICM Group, presenting mementos to our esteemed panelists.
I must also thank Mr. Ajay Gupta for taking such a brave decision. I think it's the first event. I think we must give a round of applause for him also.
Actually, this is a very, very big event happening post-COVID as far as the travel and tourism industry is concerned. So thank you, Mr. Ajay Gupta and the entire team for this. Rightly said, mid-COVID. We are not yet over with it. So we hope that this gets past and we are out of this situation completely so that we can have big events and exhibitions and conferences back again as we used to have in the earlier times, I must say. So many, many congratulations and big thanks to all our panelists present here. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let us hear it finally for this wonderful panel. Please, Zordar Talis, of course. This calls for a group photograph. And after this, we should be moving on to the next session on events and weddings. I'm hoping this is going to be really interesting.